many of you because for many, many years she has volunteered her services one Friday a month to be our master tweaker. Her name is Courtney Warnsman. Also at our employment expos, she would evaluate resumes for hours with nonstop, with no breaks. Her official title, in case you wonder, she does have a PhD in what?
Adult education.
Adult education. How perfect is that? Her official title is Director of Client Services and Corporate Outreach. She is an executive employment coach, so she works for top-level people, but she's worked with people at all levels and shared her expertise with them as to how to find a job. Her company is being reorganized, and they have new digs, and they're going to have a new name, and so we're going to keep all that under wraps until the grand opening. But she is just a ball of talent, and you're going to learn bunches from her. Courtney Warnsman.
Today is about networking, but I'm not going to tell you that you should network. You know that, okay? Today is going to be about actually doing it. When I came in today and I was talking with a few people and introducing myself, and they said, what are you going to talk on today? And I said, networking. Nobody named Lindsay turned bright red. She's like, oh no. And as I mentioned, we're actually going to be doing some networking at the end. I'm not one to sit up here and talk at you for an hour. We're going to do some practice, and I'm going to ask Kathy and Shannon and other of the Launchpad crew to block the doors, so that for those of you for whom networking is not quite your thing, you can't escape, because this is a safe spot. You know, Kathy was talking about the support group and how everybody in here is pulling for everybody else. So if you're going to practice it and you're going to feel uncomfortable and you're going to make some mistakes and you're going to have some victories, this is a good place to get started. So that's what we're shooting for today. I told you I wasn't going to tell you you need to network, but I do have one slide on it. You know, research says, and you all know this, that depending on who you listen to, 70 to 85% of people who get jobs are getting them through networking. Well, we all know that, and if that's the case, why are you resisting it? And I'm not asking that as a rhetorical question. Tell me, what are the things that make you reluctant to get out there and network?
Fear.
What's that?
Fear.
Fear. Fear of what?
Putting yourself out there, being rejected, people not liking your appearance, people not liking you, all these things that really will probably never happen, but we worry about these things.
Exactly. And when you've lost your job, your confidence is already in the toilet. And so there's this fear of that continued. What else? What are some of the other reasons that you're reluctant to get out there?
Not really having anything to say. You know,
okay.
Like somebody asks you, well, what do you do? Or tell me about yourself.
And you don't want to say, or not that you don't want to say it, but you are reluctant to say, well, I haven't been working for a while, and you don't want to admit that because there's this misperception of a stigma. Okay? What are some of the other reasons that you're reluctant to get out there? I got a whole slide of them coming.
So one of the things that I find annoying more than anything when I'm networking, people they have a perception of you and they want to fit you into these positions where, like, a lot of people are looking for pulses. People that have pulse. If you're a warm body, you can sell. You can do this financial advice, and it's like that's not even warm.
So it sounds like your experience has been that people don't listen, that they don't listen to what you're trying to say about yourself and for what you want. They're trying to project what they think you want onto you. Any others? Yes, ma'am.
Finding the best networking meeting to go to.
Okay.
What's the right one that's really going to be?
How do you choose? And one thing on that, the answer is totally up to you. I will have two people go to the exact same meeting on the exact same day. One of my clients coming back saying, oh my gosh, I met all these people, what do we do with this? And the other one going, well, that's 2 hours of my life, I'm not going to have that. And so each event has its pros and cons, and depending on you and your goals and all of that, you've got to find the right fit. Just like with finding the right fit for a job, you've got to find the right fit for those group networking experiences. What else? Yes, sir.
I generally call it birds of a feather flock together. Now, I am on a pretty high-powered laptop and things like that, but the people I like talking to and like working with, they don't. They have the Apple MacBook Pro, they have the iPad, and they act like you go in the closet. We don't want to deal with you because you're not one of us.
Well,
I can handle them. I can do the same thing they can, but you don't have Apple on that little symbol on.
So one of the things we're going to talk about today is how to talk about what you do, not just in a way that people who do the same thing understand, but where any professional, any grown-up would get it and get you and get how they might be able to help. We will just go on. What that was, for those of you who know Kids in the Hall, the guy who came in, it was this thing about, he's a brain surgeon. And he is more than happy to tell everyone that he is a brain surgeon. And that everything that all of you do, well, that's nice, but it's not really brain surgery, is it? And goes through over and over and over about, well, you know, I'm a brain surgeon, and then someone comes in and introduces him. You know, he's a brain surgeon. Yeah, he kind of told us. But then at the end, the punchline is the guy comes in, and the hostess of the event says, "What hard time at the Space Center today?" You can see the punchline coming, right? So the Space Center guy introduces himself to the brain surgeon, says, "So what do you do?" And the brain surgeon, you know, goes through this, "You know, I'm a brain surgeon, it's really hard." And then the space guy, "Brain surgery. Not exactly rocket science." But I wish I could show it. They do it better than I do. But that's sometimes what it feels like. One of the things that you didn't mention is that people want to talk about themselves. You feel like you're bragging. And in that case, he was, but I guarantee you none of you would ever do it to that level. So these are a lot of the reasons that and some of you mentioned these, that people choose not to get out there and put themselves out there. Fear, don't want to ask a favor. You know, I'm not comfortable asking for help. I've got somebody I'm working with right now who said to me, "My dad said never let him see you sweat. If I ask for help, that shows weakness." Okay? Not comfortable talking with other people. Now, I put introvert on a question mark here, and that's just to remind me to have a little chat about introverts and extroverts and networking. Guess what, folks? Introverts and extroverts network equally well. Okay? A lot of times you want to say, "Oh, but no, I'm kind of shy," or, you know, introverts aren't good at that. The difference is not in your ability or how effectively you do it. It's in how you feel when you do it. You know, as an extrovert, I will say anything to anybody, anytime. And there's a positive to that. Also, as an extrovert, I will say anything to anybody, anytime, and there's a problem with that, because things fall out of my mouth, and I go, "Oh, could I please have that back?" Introverts struggle a little bit more maybe to open that conversation, but I can almost guarantee you that nothing falls out of your mouth that you don't plan to say, and that's a positive. Now, with the way you feel, I'm going to leave here today, and I'm going to walk out, and I'm going to call my husband and go, "Oh my gosh, that was so much fun." I mean, I'm energized by doing these things, and it'll go on for a couple of hours. For those of you who are introverts, when I ask you to network here for about 15, 20 minutes, you're going to walk away and go, "I am exhausted," because it drains you of every ounce of energy that you have. I have a woman, y'all remember the old Saturday Night Live, "I'm good enough, smart enough, and doggone it, people like me" skit? She is an extreme introvert, and she drives to networking events saying, "I'm an engaging and interesting conversationalist. I'm an engaging and interesting conversationalist." And she has to pump herself up for it. But then she gets home, grabs a glass of wine, and goes to bed. So, for those of you who fall more toward the introvert end of the spectrum, I'm going to encourage you and remind you that you can do this very, very well. I'm also going to give you permission to be really tired afterwards. For my extroverts who are thinking, "I got this," I'm going to encourage you to learn to listen more actively, because we tend to be thinking 10 steps down the road for what we're going to say next when a conversation happens. Now, we all know this, but you know one of the biggest reasons people fail in network when they're in a job search? Because they're too busy looking for a job to network. Well, there's a problem there. If 70 to 85% of people get their jobs through networking, and you're too busy looking for a job to network, do you see the catch-22 here? These two things go hand in hand. It's not a one or the other, or a one before the other. And often what I hear from people once they accept their positions is, "I am never going to let my networking die again." I don't know how I'm going to manage it, but I don't want to find myself in this spot again with nowhere to go and no backup and no crew to help me out. Well, guess what? People who are experts on networking, who write books on it, they agree with you, okay? They agree that networking doesn't work in the traditional ways that we've been doing it. Steve Harper, he's an author of The Ripple Effect. He lives in Round Rock. He's a friend of mine. Happen to like him a lot. Tried networking last week. Didn't work. Okay? Networking's know it is crap. Bob Bodine, y'all may have read the book, The Power of Who. The subtitle is You Already Know Everyone You Need to Know. So he's big on the networking piece as well. But the experts say the way that we normally think about it doesn't work. Well, why not? Because networking isn't an event. It's a way of life. And too often we treat it as a meeting as opposed to a relationship or building a connection and having these long-term sort of relationships with folks. So what have we got to do? We've got to change some things. First of all, we've got to change your mindset. Okay? I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to read these two quotes. Tell me what word stands out to you. Okay? Nowhere does this say bragging, selling yourself, asking for anything. It's about relationships. Even, I'll hold off while you're taking photos here, even Webster's basic definition of networking, the exchange of information or services among individuals, groups, or institutions, specifically the cultivation of productive relationships for business. And so if we can switch that mindset to be one of relationship building rather than groveling for help, rather than begging and pleading, then it makes it a little bit easier to do. Got to be closer to the computer. There we go. Now, how many of you had a plan for today's meeting? Anybody? What was your plan, Kathy?
My plan was to open the meeting, talk about, I had my list of points that I was going to try to make, and then introduce you and have my mind blown.
So, oh my goodness. I don't know if that's a good goal there. Who was it who said earlier that you didn't know quite what to say? Okay, this is where this comes in. The reason why many of you don't know what to say when you go to networking is because you don't have a plan. Would you ever go to an interview without preparing? No. But we go to networking meetings without a plan all the time. You just walk in and think that all these good things are going to fall on you and this pixie dust is going to find your next job. So you've got to have a plan. You've got to set your goals for the event. And in just a moment, I'm going to give you the opportunity to look at this event and think about what goals you may be trying to get out of the last part of things today. I'm also going to have you create a list of go-to questions. How many of you are still in the dating world? I'm not going to ask that. We've all been in the dating world at some point. And if you think about it, when you meet someone on a first date, you don't sit there, hopefully, and talk about yourself. You ask questions. You want to learn about them. You're trying to determine if maybe there might be a connection, looking for things that you have in common with them. You don't automatically start with, well, do you want a family? No, you lead into it a little bit lighter than that. And so often in a networking opportunity, you're going to lead into it with something that's a little bit lighter, something that anyone can talk about. And I'll show you some examples in a moment. You want to tailor or practice your elevator pitch. Now, there are different elevator pitches for different situations, as you know, and I know that when people say elevator pitch, that's another one of those, roll your eyes, I hate talking about myself. But you do want to know what you're going to say, short version, what's going to grab someone's attention. And when I say tailor and practice, that does not mean memorize and rehearse. How many of you have ever had an injury, leg injury? You're a runner and you hurt an ankle, okay? You can't run for a little while, but when you get back to running, you don't go back to learning to walk like a child because you have muscle memory around those body parts that allow you to run again, correct? You've got to create that same muscle memory around these features in your face that make speech. These are muscles. And when you first are in a career search, often you're not used to talking about yourself, using the words that you know you need to use to get your point across and to make those connections. You can lie in bed awake all night, running it through your head, and it sounds great. And then you get in front of somebody and you go, blah, 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 because you haven't created that muscle memory. So put on the Bluetooth, talk to the dog, do what you need to do to actually hear yourself speaking through these things. And then finally, invite a partner. Take a wingman, take a wingwoman. A couple of things here. One, they'll make sure you get there. It's an accountability partner. For those of you who are reluctant to network, you know, this thing starts in 30 minutes. I got some other stuff I have to do. But if you know that someone is expecting you to be there, you're more likely to get there. Then what you have to be real careful doing is not having the two of you standing in a corner waiting for the speaker to start or waiting for the event to begin. You can assign, you go that way, I'll go this way, we'll meet back here in 10 minutes and compare notes. I have a client that I'm working with who is horrible at starting conversations, but who is great at keeping them going. So his wife, who is great at starting conversations, goes with him to his career search networking things, and she'll get the conversation started, and then at some point when he thinks he can handle it, he gives her a signal. I think it's a nose scratch, which means, okay, honey, I've got it. And she slides off and he continues that conversation. But again, it's a plan for how you can set yourself up for success in networking. Then you need to change your approach. And this is where we get into being very intentional. When you walk into a room, when you're going to network, don't think, how can someone help me? Think, how can I help you? And if you adopt that mindset by making networking about connecting other people, then it makes it a little bit easier when they say to you, well, how can I help you, to give that back. Because you've started that conversation in the mindset of, how can I help someone else? And you want to approach folks and start the conversation. Now, I have to admit, I spied on y'all a little bit when y'all were walking in today. And many of you came in and you very dutifully went to your chair and you sat down and you took out your phone and you started doing this. Okay? When there were other people doing the same thing. So I'm going to start pushing you a little bit. Let me give you a little bit of a warning. There are some people in this room who know me from the resume tweaking or from outside of Launchpad activities. I'll nudge you a little bit. So if I pick on you a little bit today, please don't take it personally. It's all out of love and helping you do better. But one of the things that I'm going to push you to do is actually talk to people. I had somebody raise their hand during a session and go, well, you can't network without interacting. Duh. But we all sit in these events, and that's exactly what we do. We sit around and look at our phone. When you walk into a networking event, if there's another single person standing there who's also looking just as awkward, that's probably a good person to go up and introduce yourself to. And the conversation may start like this. Ugh, I hate these things. How about you? Yeah, me too, but I know it's important. But that may be just that connector, that sense of camaraderie of, I'm not the only one out there who is really, really uncomfortable doing these things. And again, we're going to do some questions. So you want to listen actively. This is what I was saying earlier about those of us who are extroverts. We get really involved and really excited in what people are saying. We want to jump in and we miss something. We want to be very intentional in hearing people out. What you were saying earlier about it seems like I'm saying something and they're coming back with something that is totally unrelated. Remember, if your mindset is how can I help you, then your goal is to listen for those parts that will allow you to know how to help. You want to share your contact information. Now, who thinks that business cards are obsolete? Oh, yay. Oh, we got one. I always encourage people that you want to err on the side of what's neutral or positive, not something that could hurt you. If you have business cards and you hand it to somebody and they don't want it, okay. Hopefully they won't throw it away in front of you. That would be hurtful. But if someone asks you for a business card and you don't have one, that's where the problem is. For those of you who are iPhone users, I'm not, but for those of you who are iPhone users, there's an app called BizCard. I think it's $2.99. That when you meet somebody, you call their phone and it automatically populates their phone with your business card information. Those of us who are Android users, we can accept those, but we don't have BizCard that allows us to push them out. But this idea of business cards and exchanging contact information is important. Now this last one, you gotta make a graceful exit. Have you ever been in a networking situation where you're there, you wanna meet a lot of people, you wanna work the room, and somebody has you in a corner? And they're talking so fast they never even take a break in between, and they're going on and on and on, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I have got to get out of this situation. They've got 10 minutes to the speaker. I've got 2 people over there I need to talk to. I don't want to be rude, and they will not stop. Let's talk a little bit. Let's do a little bit of brainstorming. How could you extricate yourself from those situations that allow that person to save face? What are some of the strategies that y'all have used in the past?
Just walk away.
Just walk away. I'm out of here. You're getting on my nerves. Yes, sir.
Have to tell the person you have to go to the bathroom. Say you're
Have to
very
go to the
sorry.
bathroom?
Have to go to the
What do y'all think about that? Problem is, you may be spending a whole lot of time in the bathroom. What else?
Postpone. Basically say, hey, I'm really interested in this, I got something else I gotta do, can we get back together, here's my card, my contact information.
Okay, what do you think there? We're getting close. I'll tell you why I have a little bit of a problem with that. I have something I've got to do that's more important than you. Even though that's not the way you mean it, already we're uncomfortable in these situations, and now we're having somebody say, I have someone or something more important to do right now. But what I like to do, in a networking situation, your goal is to network, right? So give them permission to go about the business of networking. You know, we just have a few minutes before the speaker starts. I know that you've probably come here to meet some other people as well. Love to get your business card from you and follow up on this later, so that's it, that extends it. But that stops it and lets them save face. It gives them permission to go about the business of networking, which is why you came there to begin with. Okay? All right, now we're gonna actually make you do some things here. I meant to pass these out earlier. I'm going to pass these around. I'm going to like everybody to grab 2 index cards, and you can just kind of push them back. In a moment, I'm going to actually have you get up and walk around the room, and you're going to be doing some networking. Since you didn't know you were going to have to be doing this, I'm going to give you a few minutes to prepare. So one of the things that I told you a minute ago that you need to do when you're preparing for a networking event is to have a plan and to prepare the elevator pitch. Now, we don't have time to do all of that, but on one of these cards, I would like you to fill in the blank here, so that when you're having an opportunity to talk to someone in a few minutes, and they say, how can I help you? I'm hoping to connect with people who can help me blank. What is that help that you need right now? I'll give you just a minute to fill in the blank there. Everybody have your cards? So, fill in the blank. I'm hoping to connect with people who can help me blank. Okay, next thing we've got to do then is start thinking about those topics that are not necessarily work-related topics. So as I talk you through these things, I want you to think about topics and questions that you are totally comfortable speaking on. And I'll talk through each of these and give you a little bit more information to give you an idea as we go. So, first of all, some networking events have absolutely nothing to do with jobs. These are social occasions. These were your Super Bowl parties last Sunday, when even though it is not specific to job search, you may have had the opportunity to meet some people. For these circumstances, think about just basic current events in pop culture that anyone in this room would be able to have a conversation with you about. Anybody have any ideas? Olympics.
Federal shutdown.
Federal shutdown. The what? The Dow. The Dow. I encourage you to keep it away from too many political things that could go down a strange road. So got to be a little bit careful there. The next one would be general business networking. I count Launchpad as that, because in this room you have a mix of people from different industries and different roles and different positions. So here you want to be able to talk about the business world. in a way that anyone in the room would understand. Anybody have any ideas about what some of those topics might be?
Amazon coming.
There you go, Amazon. You know, what do you, are they going to put HQ2 here? Okay. A third type of networking, and you'll notice we're starting to funnel down. We started with very general, and we're going to go general to more specific. So a third one would be industry or job-specific networking. This would be things like PMI, the Project Management Institute meetings, or the American Marketing Association. Business networking meetings that are more focused on a specific industry or focused on a specific type of job. Next, career fairs. Now this one is obviously about getting the job. So these are the things, what are you likely, what kinds of questions might you ask of the recruiters or the HR people who are sitting there to be interviewing you for jobs? And then finally, aspects of your career that anyone would understand. And this is what, when you mentioned a little while ago, you know, you have all the fancy things and everybody over here has the iMac. This is a place where I tend to poke my clients a little bit until it makes them mad. Not on purpose makes them mad. But sometimes we overthink what we need to say as opposed to just being very genuine and authentic. So I was working with a guy a while back who was a very high-level technology guy. And I said to him, I'm not technical. I meet you at a Super Bowl party. Tell me what you do. And he went into talking about programming languages and programmers. All of a sudden, I'm like, I don't get it. And we went down that road. He would keep talking. I'd interrupt him. I still don't get it. You're talking about all this computer stuff. That's not me. And then finally, he just said, Courtney, I just make people's computers go faster. Okay? It's a place to start the conversation. I also had a guy I was working with who, you know when y'all do any shopping online and you've purchased something and for the next 6 weeks that thing and anything like it keeps popping up? I have a former client who developed that algorithm for one of the online shopping sites. So, as a company, you'll love him because he keeps pushing your product. As a consumer, you hate him because you're tired of the pop-ups. But anyone who has ever purchased anything online has an idea of something that he has done. So, you're not necessarily going to be able to come up with one of these immediately, but I encourage you as you move forward in networking to keep in mind that the majority of the conversations you're having are probably not going to be with people from your same species. And you're going to need to be able to explain to them what you do. And so think about talking about yourself in a way that anyone else would understand. Has everybody written down a topic or a question for each of these? And don't worry, if you don't have anything, I've got them on the screen for you to play with here just a little bit. You notice the titles of these slides. The first one was ready. This is set. All right. We're going to do some networking here. And here are the rules of the game. Ready? In just a moment, I'm going to ask you all to stand up and get in groups of 3. And I'm going to put maybe some images up here on the screen, some questions to ask, and you're going to start having some conversations and just get to talking. And then every few minutes, I'm going to give you another screen, and you're going to keep talking. Now, here's the catch. I'm going to be walking around the room, and I'm going to tap you on your shoulder, and I'm going to say, time to gracefully exit this group and find another one. So, you're going to be practicing exiting groups, entering groups. Those of you who are in groups, how do you bring a new person into the conversation? This is going to be fun, I promise. Nobody run for the door. Your goal is to listen to people, to be able to connect others. So that as you're moving through different groups, you say, oh, you know what? I remember Corey does that. Let me introduce you to. Okay? Another goal is to find something that you have in common with this person. You may have graduated from a 3-person high school in Des Moines, Iowa at different times. As we do the first rounds of these, I'm going to ask you not to talk about anything professional yet. We'll get there. The goal right now is just to open conversation and to start to connect with folks. Those of you who do have business cards, feel free to pass those out and collect. Those of you who don't, the reason I gave you a second index card is that index card is for you to write down names, email addresses, things like that as you go around the room so that you can kind of follow up, which is how we'll talk about a little bit when we're done. Any questions on what we're going to do? Okay, so again, go ahead and stand up, groups of 3, and let's get the conversation going. Mimosas, Bloody Marys. All right, folks. So, how did it go? First, I want to congratulate you. Y'all did a great job. I see that the seats are still full. I don't notice any too many missing seats for people who scooted out. So let's share a little bit here. What were some of the things that maybe you were surprised that you found that you had in common with people? Anyone want to share? What'd you find?
We're both from New York.
Okay.
And actually, it's an Aggie. I live on Aggie Lane.
Aggie live on Aggie Lake. Okay, hey, that counts. Saw one over here. Saw a hand over here.
3 of us were laid off from Hewlett-Packard Enterprise.
3 of you laid off from HP. A commonality, not necessarily one that you want to share, but, you know,
All of our jobs were shipped in and
minor detail. Who else?
Hockey. Found a hockey fan.
A hockey fan?
What?
That's hard to find here in Texas.
Yes, but it's good.
Is anybody watching curling in the Olympics? I don't understand that sport for anything. Okay? Now, as I asked y'all to do the exits and the entrances, how did that feel? Did anybody witness somebody doing something that was especially effective in either exiting or welcoming people into a group?
Somebody just came up to our group and smiled, and that was about all it took.
That's about all it takes, folks. You know, look at somebody and smile. Now, I purposely did some things to some people in the room where you were in your group and maybe you were in a group of 3 and I asked 2 people to exit and I left you standing by yourself. How did that feel to those of you that I did that to? I know I did it to John, I did it to a couple of other people. And I remember there was somebody on this side of the room when I said that, and the one who was left standing alone, even though this is a very contrived, fake situation with, I mean, just this freeze of what do I do? Because it's sort of like when you trip and you look around to make sure nobody saw you trip. Is anybody going to see that these people are walking away from me, and here I am standing here by myself? It's hard to do, but hopefully you can go off, walk to another group, get involved in that conversation again. The biggest takeaway that I want you to get from today, folks, is it doesn't stop here. This doesn't mean that you get to walk out these doors and go, glad that's over with. Okay? Remember, networking is a way of life, not an event. This counts as an event. And I'm hoping, as I saw people writing down names and I saw a couple people literally dragging someone from one side of the room to the other to kind of meet someone else, I'm hoping that you got some of those good professional contacts too, as well as just fun about talking about some other things. How many of you have something that looks like this in a desk drawer? When was the last time you took the rubber band off? When you're going to add more cards? So, today you collected some business cards from people. I saw business cards going around. You collected contact information from people. Don't rubber band it and stick it in the drawer. Okay? You've got to follow up. Even though in the back of our minds, we would love to think that was the greatest networking experience. I met all these people. I just know one of them is going to call me and offer me a job. You need to continue to be the one who is proactively reaching out to these folks after the fact. Every single person who you got contact information from today, in the next few days, shoot them an email. Hey, really enjoyed talking with you at Launchpad. Maybe there is something that you determined that you had in common. Maybe we need to get together over an adult beverage and talk about our experiences at HP. Maybe someone recently relocated here, or our New Yorkers who feel out of place down here in the South. Mention something about them that showed them that you were listening, that you heard something that they said, whether it was professional, personal, or anything else. That's where connection happens. It's in listening and looking for commonalities. Connect with them on LinkedIn, not the first thing. Send that email first, because if it's just, hey, I want you in my LinkedIn network, you know, there are people who you feel like are just kind of trying to pad their networks. If you make that connection first, sometimes it makes that LinkedIn request a little less, I want something here.
So I just posted a comment on LinkedIn about what is it with these people who just send me a LinkedIn request and don't say anything? If you connect on your phone, you don't get a chance to put a note in.
Yep.
If you go into the browser, you can actually write them a personal note in LinkedIn.
So a couple of things here, and thank you for bringing that up. I always tell my people, do all the research you want on the LinkedIn app, but when you're actually going to do something, do it from a computer, because the app does perform differently. Even on the computer, you have done a search for VPs of sales in Austin, and you get the list. When you click connect on the list, it just sends them the generic, I want you in my network. You need to click on their profile and then click connect. Now, for those of you who've been LinkedIn users for a long time like I have, it used to be that, how do you know this person? Were you in the same company, the same school? They've taken that away now. They actually allow you to write a note. And so that's really important that when you are connecting with someone, find their profile, click connect, and write them a short blurb about where they met you or why you want to connect. Okay? What else? Any other thoughts, comments, any other things that y'all would like to share for the day? Yes, sir.
One thing I really liked is that if you went in with the mentality of, I'm going to help this person, doors opened up. It was gratifying. It was gratifying to help someone. It was gratifying to be a resource. I mean, I really enjoy being a resource, but that just opened up conversation, and then they finally got around to, well, what can we do to help you?
And that is one of the things that people often are nervous about networking. Is, well, what do I have to give? And you don't know unless you let them talk. And then when they do ask how they can help you, it makes it more comfortable to ask for that help. And this idea of just opening up doors to get the ball rolling, get the conversation started. Absolutely. And we all like to help people. That's another thing that people often say is, well, what's in it for them? I mean, why would anybody want to help me? Well, because we feel good when we can be a resource. We feel good when people look to us for help. And sometimes that is what you have to give in return. This feeling of, wow, okay, that person really respects me. I appreciate that. It's not about a tit for tat, you give me the shirt off your back and I'll give you the shirt off of mine. It's, people are rewarded in different ways in networking, and so it doesn't always have to be this concrete thing that you can offer them. Often just the fact that you respected them enough to ask for help makes them feel good.
We encourage you, and we put it in the handbook, that you should try to find a SWAT team, a small team of people that meet on a regular basis and help one another find jobs. And lots of people say, well, I don't know how to create a team. How do I find people? It could be that today you connected with some folks, maybe the 3HP folks, for example. Lots of times if you came from the same company or the same industry, that's a natural SWAT team because you understand the nature of the work that you each did. But if you connected with somebody, you just liked them, and you want to create a SWAT team and just agree that maybe you come early to Launchpad every week, and that's your weekly meeting. We have some SWAT teams that meet every day. They meet at a coffee shop and talk about, these are our goals for job searching for today, or once a week, set goals, be accountable. Somebody told me that this is his, like his third or fourth time to be laid off and come back, and he's having trouble just getting started again, getting the motivation to do it. And when you've got a team, it changes the dynamic, and it feels a little bit fresher, and you're looking for jobs for other people at the same time you're looking for jobs for yourself. So try to build on these relationships you formed today.
Anything else? All right, folks.
One thing.
Yes, sir.
I I've been noticing a lot of people on LinkedIn don't have their updated, don't have an email, don't have an updated email, phone number's wrong, that sort of thing. Make sure you've got contact info, it's up to date, that you actually look at and that you're comfortable using.
And it's not a bad idea. I don't know if LinkedIn likes this or not, but I always encourage the people that I work with, at the end of their professional summary, when they're looking for a job, put at the bottom of that professional summary your phone number and email address. It's just one last click that somebody has to get to find you for whether or not you have that contact information.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, LinkedIn no longer lists your contact information outside, even if you're connected to somebody. You know, you should go in there and you give their email and their phone number if they made those available, but it doesn't seem that that's the case anymore, so that's a really good idea. I mean, you can still message somebody inside it, but that is
Yes, ma'am.
On that specifically, I had that same issue. You can add, there is a place you can click to see other people's contact information and their email, but you can't see your own. Like, I don't know what's up there. You
That's
know,
gonna
say
be a
I need a
reason
third
for us
person to look at mine to see what in the world did I put up there. But it is, you can find it. It's just like an additional click now. It used to be contact info right by your profile. But if you just kind of look around, I'm sorry, I can't remember specifically, but it is, you click to that person's
It's under, it said it's under more, but that's why I say just write it in your professional summary. That takes care of that problem. You don't have to try to click and find
But
it.
you don't have your phone on.
Courtney,
Yes, ma'am.
I often find that when you guys go to work, which is where you're supposed to go, that you don't always update your LinkedIn profile. And I think that that needs to be something that is definitely on your agenda, because one of two things, if your employer goes on there, they might be a little bit upset that your previous employer is still listed. And also, you never know, you might get headhunted, you know, a recruiter reaches out with a job, and you're like, oh, that one's a little bit better than the one I'm in. So, you know, you just want to make sure your LinkedIn information is always updated.
You know, all of this, whether it's group networking, or then you take to LinkedIn, the goal is to eventually, obviously, sit down with somebody one-on-one that's going to be the one to hire you. And so all of this is starting the ball rolling. Takeaways, networking is a way of life. Hopefully after today you will start to embrace that a little bit. I encourage you, and I'm going to have Shannon, I don't know how often she sends out little blurbs, but I'm going to ask Shannon to send a blurb that says, have you reached out to the people that you met on Friday the 9th? Just a little poke. And then I may pop in occasionally at the beginning to see if you're actually talking to people or whether you've got those phone numbers, because you never know what you're going to find out. And when you go out to those other groups, whoever asked earlier about which groups are the best and all of that, you can make the group what you want it to be if you are proactively networking and asking the questions and doing the things that we did in here today. You can make it more than what it would be if you were just standing around waiting for somebody to talk to you. Change your paradigm, change your mindset. Remember, it's about helping people. It's about others. It's not about necessarily what I can get for myself, but it naturally comes back to you because of your helping mindset. And that follow-up is the key. So, learn to love it, keep the ball rolling, enjoy it. Is anybody going to go home and take a nap after this because you wiped out from the talk? Okay. That's okay. Plan the naps into your day. But I really appreciate the effort that y'all took in doing this. I know that for many of you, this was uncomfortable. But I hope you've taken away not just philosophically some things, but some questions and some comments, some topics, and some names of people that can help you.